couple years ago, I had one of those opportunities you don't get often. I got to build a team from scratch. Not a big team, there would be three of us, and we'd have a role in basically everything that required code on a small news site, from data journalism to experimenting with new story forms to a major site redesign. As we got into the hiring process, I started making a list of all the skills we might need so I could compare candidates. This got overwhelming pretty quickly. I didn't realize at the time, but this was part of a problem I'd been struggling with in different ways since I started writing code for journalism, back when George W. Bush was president. It's a problem of language. There's an overwhelming number of skills and tools that we use in writing code around news, and most job descriptions, are lumped together into titles like news applications or interactives or data journalism. Then a few months ago, a friend asked me to talk to one of her students who's a talented photographer and was also starting a comp sci program, and he wanted to know what to do with that set of skills. After talking to him and thinking about the jobs I've had, I realized that ultimately there are three kinds of code we write in newsrooms: reporting, storytelling, and product. That's pretty much it. So what do I mean by reporting, storytelling, and product? Reporting code is, well, reporting. It's scraping, data analysis, machine learning, natural language processing. When you're writing SQL, R, Pandas, Jupyter notebooks, you're probably writing code I'd call reporting. Storytelling is, of course, what we do with all that reporting. It's our graphics, interactive or not, maps and charts and generative text, AR and VR and 3D modeling. And what is product? You might be thinking, we have another department that does that. They're IT, and I'm in the newsroom. And I'm here to say more of us are doing product than we realize. Product is everything we build that isn't for just one story or just one project. It's everything we do between deadlines that makes our next project launch faster or run smoother or get a little closer to what our audience needs. In fact, it's everywhere we talk about user needs. It's anything we need to maintain and anything that's accumulated technical debt. You might say it is the technical debt. It's our app templates, our starter kits that we update after each launch. It's our long-form tool. It's our open source code. It's our analytics packages and documented best practices. Here's an example. It's called Ahead of the Fire. This series looked at wildfire risk across the western United States. In the reporting phase, my colleagues used GIS tools to ask which communities are most at risk and which particular risks each community faced. The storytelling side focused on explaining those risks and the methodology behind each story. And here's product. We call this the in-depth framework, and it's the machinery that powers our best storytelling. So why does it matter what we call these three kinds of code? Because they move at different speeds. And moving at different speeds is something I've seen every newsroom I've worked in struggle with. Think of a project you worked on that went well. It probably started with a lot of reporting, which tapered off as the story solidified, and you started to focus on storytelling. Meanwhile, product is, or should be, moving along at a steady cadence of sprints. And this is where it's important to know what kind of code you're writing, and to be able to talk about it with other people in the newsroom, especially our editors. This is where it's easy to screw things up. This is where I have screwed things up. Like trying to make something reusable too early. I wrote this library because someone pitched a story on Congress, and my response was to create a Python package. Cool. Never used it for a story. Sorry, Derek Willis. Or falling in love with storytelling when it's time to move into product. This story on Zika was great. We did a dozen like it with a little variation, each one basically a bespoke tarbell project. After about the third one, we really should have started building tools into WordPress, but I was nervous about technical debt. This is where it helps to think in product terms. Or writing storytelling code that becomes technical debt. This topper here, it's gorgeous. It's also built into our storytelling framework, which means we're responsible for it forever. Oops. I'm sure you have your own examples. Thinking about these three kinds of code can help you on individual projects. If you're looking at a job description, it's a good way to read up on what kind of job it is and whether it matches up with your skills or your career goals. You might also use it to decide which NICAR sessions to go to. It also helps answer the question, should I learn X? Now you can reframe that as, what is this best suited for? Or how might it be used for reporting, for storytelling, for product? One last thing. When I talk about three kinds of code, I want to be very clear that I don't mean that there are three kinds of coders. Most of us are doing all three kinds of programming, and I think that's a good thing because it pushes us to be better, more well-rounded, both as programmers and as journalists. Reporting and storytelling are still the core of our profession, and product is going to open up new ways of doing both. We have a lot to learn from each other. Thank you.